these are my top 5 Red Rangers. Number 5, Scott. Scott is just so cool as a character to me. Him just having to prove himself to his father and just show his father that he can be just as good of a hero as his brother was. And it was just so cool to me just to watch Scott just become better as a leader and just better as a person over the whole series, you know. Even though he didn't get a whole lot of focus this season, he got enough focus to me. And I especially do love the episode when Scott doesn't take all the glory for an achievement and he gives it rightfully to Jim, who earned it the right way. So I really gotta say that was a very good episode to me, and it really just changed my whole perception of Scott. You know what I'm saying? It was just so cool to me. Number 4. You know I had to do this, man, but definitely Leo from Lost Galaxy. I do like how this guy just has a strong fighting spirit and is always jumping into a new adventure no matter what, man. It's willing to help people no matter what. You know what I'm saying? And even after losing his brother, he becomes more serious of a character because he was kind of, he kind of joked around in the beginning of the series and, he was kind of naive, but he grew into a more serious ranger over time. So definitely Leo. I mean, Leo was just one of the best and just him sacrificing himself in the end of Lost Galaxy. That was pretty cool. Um, that was a pretty good move for the character, in my opinion. Number 3. How could I not put Wes here? Wes is a guy that changed his whole entire destiny, in my opinion, and he chose his own path in life throughout the whole series. And he just inserted himself into a situation embraceably, and he did not step down from anybody. So I gotta say, all respect to Wes. Wes is one of the best Red Rangers ever, and he has one of the best storylines ever. How he goes from this spoiled, pampered rich boy to a hero that we all know and love in the end. So, yeah. Number 2.
Andros from Power Rangers in Space. The one thing I can say that I enjoyed about Andros' story is we start off at a point where he's distant, cold, and doesn't want anything to do with the rest of his team. But over time, the team grows on him, and we uncover more and more about his past. We found out that Astronomer is his sister. That to me is one of the best built up stories within this franchise, one of the best mysteries in this franchise. I love how throughout the show they connect the dots. I've always wondered what made Andros who he was in the first half of this season, but it has been pretty much theorized and it's probably going to be put into the comics at some point that his first team was killed on a mission, and that's not a theory that I disagree with, and I feel like they pretty much hint at that within the show. I do wish that this show would have had the balls to go with that, because this show to me is at the best when it has the balls to do something and when it strives to do something that you would not expect in the show. But that's neither here or there. I still enjoy this character story from start to end, especially the final moments of his story. He has to make one of the hardest decisions that a Ranger has had to make in this show, and that's killing Sordon. I don't think I've seen a Ranger had to make a harder decision. A lot of people will bring up stuff like Sato sacrificing himself, but we're talking about Sordon. Sordon was built as this all-knowing and all-powerful figure. He was one of the faces of this franchise, and the fact that this show had the balls to kill him off is something I will always give them a thumbs up for. The one thing that kind of bothers me about the ending of his story, even though I enjoyed it, was the tears. The Disney thing just bothers me, man. I felt like they should have just had her wake up. We didn't need you guys to add in the Disney tears to wake Astronomer up. Just have her wake up, man. Like, I just don't understand that, and people have been theorizing about that for years, but I'm not going to think too hard on that, man. That's just PR being a kid's show. But whatever, man. Andros is one of my favorite Red Rangers in this whole entire series, and I can't wait till we get even more information on him in the comics. I really do hope that they bring him back in the show at some point. There's just so much that you could do with Andros, considering the fact that he traversed through space. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about Andros. And we get to number one. Who is my favorite Red Ranger? Who is the Red Ranger that I love the most? Who is the Red Ranger that I think stands the test of time and stands out in my mind? This may be controversial, but number one is Jason, the original Mighty Morphin Red Ranger. Now, I know I'm going to have some people come at me and say, don't you think that MMPR is overrated? Didn't you say that MMPR doesn't have the strongest characters? Didn't you say that MMPR is this and that and Emma? But what people fail to understand is there are certain characters in MMPR that I do think are more developed and stand the test of time more than others. We don't have a lot of characters that do that in MMPR, but we do have some, such as Billy, Kimberly, Tommy. I'm not a big Tommy fan, but I'm just going to be fair in this video. And Jason. Jason to me exemplifies and associates strong leadership. He was always training, always keeping the team's head up, and always doing his best in this extraordinary situation. I don't think people realize this, but Jason was only a teenager, and he was tasked with leading the team against an ancient intergalactic evil. That is huge shoes to fill. The way he fails and gets back up and keeps going. One of my favorite sayings from Jason is, shouldn't the smallest chance of victory be the reason why we keep fighting no matter what? I love that, man. That is something to me that stands the test of time. What angers me is that Jason, after having stepped up and proved himself time and time as a leader, was replaced by Tommy just like that. It just never fit well to me, and it looks stupid in show. I felt like they should have had the three originals leave earlier, and then you make Tommy the leader. But the fact that Jason was still an active ranger and you decided to make Tommy the leader doesn't make sense to me. After this guy has earned Sordon's respect and has done the best he can. Tommy had not done as much as Jason to be picked over him as leader of the team. At that point, even as a kid, I knew something was off. And then I found out all of the behind the scenes drama between the original red, yellow, and black ranger because they wanted a pay raise. And in my opinion, I felt like they should have got it, man. This show did not start off with Tommy. A lot of people get that wrong. I'm not going to say that the character hasn't done nothing for this show or didn't bring viewership from the show. But the show was already successful before he came on to the show with Jason as the leader. Jason was everybody's favorite damn character before Tommy came onto the set. Which is why I love the scene in Turbo where he said, "You stole my thunder." Because I always felt like PR has tried to erase Jason from history as if he did not play a part in MMPR. But he did. He was the first leader of that team and a damn good leader at that. And he deserves more recognition and respect than what he has gotten throughout the years. I do not like what Beast Morphers did with him, having him come back and say a few corny ass lines and just leave. We don't get anything about his life now. We don't get no backstory, no nothing with Jason. He just shows up, says corny ass lines and leave. In my opinion, this character was more than that. I don't feel like Forever Red would be as loved of an episode if Jason didn't show up and says, "You guys can't do this without the OG Red Ranger." That is one of the most iconic things that has been said by a character in this whole entire show. And I don't care what anybody thinks, man. Jason will always and forever be my favorite Red Ranger, and he will always stand the test of time. And I hope that we get more and more developments with his character in the comics, and I hope this character comes back in the show, forbidding that Austin St. John has any more legal issues, that they do more with this character. And oh, just to let all you Tommy fanboys know, and just to keep it 100 with you, he soloed Tommy with the Sword of Darkness. I don't want to hear any type of BS or any type of convoluted shit. He beat Tommy's ass by himself with the Sword of Darkness. This guy deserves more respect on his name, and he is one of the GOATs. I'm out.
So yeah, that's my list. Honorable mentions: Carter, Casey, and I think for my last honorable mention, I would like to put Tyler. Yeah, those are my top five Reds. That's definitely who I think should definitely be on my list. It's my opinion. It's not the gospel. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.